Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story about a retail employee during the peak season faces a customer wanting to return a large number of shirts to apply a discount but doesn't bring the shirts with her. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. The most ridiculous return. This happened when things were really picking up during seasonal time, and it was just me, a cashier, and my manager on duty, MOD. Since the store I worked at needed to always have a worker on the sales floor, I was left to deal with a steady line by myself. This was not too bad. I just apologized and were unstaffed and thanked them for waiting. That was until this lady came up with a long receipt. She told me she bought a bunch of t-shirts and she wants to return them and apply her teacher discount on it. The store I work at has special discounts, and a discount for teachers is one of them. I was looking if she had a bag or anything and then asked her if she had the shirts with her, and she said no, they're all at her house. Now, I can still do a return since she has the receipt and all she's doing is applying her discount on it, but since she doesn't have the shirts and the way our system works, I'll have to key in each UPC code for each shirt. Luckily, I could make it go faster by grouping the same codes for shirts together, but it was still a long receipt with probably 20 to 30 shirts, and mind you, the line was piling up, so I radio my MOD to ask her, is there an easier way I can do this, explaining the situation, and my MOD said sadly, that's the only way to do it. So I warned the customer that I have to key in all these UPC codes to do a return on the shirts, and then they would have to be repurchased, and she said fine, okay. The line was getting so long that my MOD decided to just screw it and jump on a register because this return and repurchase will take forever. So this is how the ensuing nightmare return went. Customer will be C, and I am me. Me starting to key in UPCs and using my quantity code to make it faster for the same size and color of shirt she bought. C, so how long is this going to take? I'm in a rush. Do you really have to key all those in? Me, yes, since you don't have the shirt here for me to actually scan, sadly, I have to type in all the codes for them. C, and how do I repurchase them? Do you have to do all that again? Me, yes, I do, sadly. By this time, she was getting very irritable, and it was actually time for me to go since the closing crew had arrived but were jumping on other registers to get the line taken care of so my MOD can get off the register. I asked if someone can take over, but all the closers were new hire seasonal people, and they had no clue how to do a return like this, so I had to truck on. C, getting frustrated, I don't have all day to stand here for you to put in all these codes. When I go to another completely different store, they can do returns without having to have the product physically there. I'm not dragging all these shirts around with me. Me gets on radio. MOD, can you come here? MOD walks over. What's up? C, I don't have all day for her to be putting in all these codes just so I can get my discount applied on them. I don't drag my shirts around with me. I have them at home. I'm in a hurry. I can't stand here all day wasting my time with this. MOD, since you don't have the shirts here for her to scan, this is the only way she can do it. Also, she, me, has to go home. Turns to me, what did you get keyed in? Me, anything I have highlighted here have keyed in. Hands MOD the customer receipt and quickly leave to clock out. Felt bad my MOD had to deal with this return, but I was fighting back to say, well, we're not completely different store. Also, I don't know why you would make yourself press for time when you're returning a crap ton of product and don't bother bringing the product in to make it easier. Even just bringing one of each shirt she bought would have been easier. I'm wondering if it's a friend or family member's purchase and she's just using her discount for them. I find it very suspicious. And our second story. I don't care that you drove 2.5 hours. This incident happened yesterday. I've got some old rabbit cages that I'm not using anymore up for sale. They're in good condition, only a few years old, and included feed dishes with them. I had them posted for $200 or best offer, well under what they're worth, but I figured it was fair considering their age and the fact that they could use a couple touch-ups in terms of rust and maybe a power spray. And admittedly, they had some staining on the trays. I posted good quality pictures and asked anyone who contacted me if they wanted more information. So Choosing Beggar, CB, contacts me over Facebook Messenger. First, she asks me if I got them from a kit. Weird, I thought, but whatever. I told her no, I got them from a friend who only had them very short term, but that they'd gotten them from someone who custom makes them in the area. Then, without other questions or a request for more pictures or an offer or an alternative price, she asks me if she could come see them. She mentioned she's coming from 2.5 hours away. I say, sure, she can come see them anytime the next day. Yesterday. I figured she was coming up my way anyways, because who drives over 2 hours just to see something they aren't even sure they want? I give her my address and cell number. So yesterday rolls around and I get a message that she's on the way, and a couple hours later that she's arrived. CB comes in, takes one look at the cages that I pulled out for her and starts sighing, and immediately starts saying in an extremely harsh tone that she can't believe how dirty they are. I told her that's why they were priced lower. And also that I'm currently injured. Horseback riding accident, torn meniscus, effed up my shoulders too. And shouldn't even be moving them around alone, let alone dragging them around to deep clean them. She's not happy about this and says I have $300 white rabbits. I cannot put them in dirty cages. I'd have to clean them when I got home. I didn't even know what to say. I just stood there sort of panicking, anxiety disorder, and sort of livid. They're used rabbit cages. Would you not have cleaned them before putting your animals in them anyways, regardless of if they're spotless or not? Man, I clean everything before I put it near my animals, new or used. So after she's done opening all the doors, pulling all the trays around, and going on and on about all the non-existent rabbit crap and fur, she goes, I'll give you $70 for them. Excuse me? Remember, she never offered an alternative price in messages or asked for any other details. I said, no way would I take $70. I explained again why I priced them the way they were, and the lowest I would go is $150. Then she looks to her husband, who was sitting there quiet the whole time, and goes, I knew these were rusty. My friend told me about these cages, and she said they had rust on them. What? First of all, a friend? I was completely transparent with the ad. I could have told you they had rust if you couldn't see it in the pictures. And if you knew they were rusty and that's the problem, then why would you even want to see them? At this point, I was just pissed off and wanted her to leave. But then she goes, fine, I'll give you $100. Nope, I declined, told her again, no less than $150. She goes, $120, and that's my final offer. Nope. Now she's even madder. Starts complaining again and goes, I have had rabbits for over 30 years, honey. I rolled my eyes. First, don't call me that. Second, I don't care how long you've had rabbits. Your attitude is crap. She complains some more, throws her hands around, and one last time she says, $120. I say no. She has the audacity to say, you made me drive over 2 hours for this? I reminded her I did not ask her to come out here. She wanted to see them, and I said, sure. Where in her twisted mind she got the idea that I made her come see them is beyond me. She asks $120. Once more, I decline once more. She finally storms out of my house muttering, waste of time, slams my door and leaves. I immediately blocked her. I hate selling things online. Glad you stuck to the already discounted price you gave her. Good job. That woman didn't deserve a discount at all, with her demanding and demeaning attitude. She probably overestimated the travel time to try and make you feel sorry for her. And our last story. So this happened a couple of years ago. I grew up in West Virginia, but I had a grandfather who lived in Pennsylvania. He lived in a pretty forested area with not a lot of neighbors and owned about 27 acres. We would visit my grandfather on most holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, etc., and I would always drive his four-wheeler around the trails in those woods. I knew those trails really well since I'd grown up driving on them. So when my grandfather died, my mom inherited the house and all the land with it. We drove up there within the week to make sure the house was in a good, livable condition, as we'd not been up there for about 3 years and my parents were planning on selling it. I decided to take the old four-wheeler out onto the trails to make sure they were clear of debris so whoever bought the house could enjoy the trails like we had. Like I said before, I knew those trails really well, so when I came up to a trail that I'd never seen before, I got a little suspicious and decided to go down it. Now, my grandfather had had problems with hunters trespassing before, so his land was very clearly marked with no trespassing signs. Now, after driving down the trail for a couple of minutes, I eventually came into this person's backyard. I decided to drive back to my grandfather's house and let my dad know of this random trail leading to this person's backyard and ask him what we should do about it. I got back to my grandfather's house and told my dad about the trail, and he said he wanted to come back down with me to that house and inform them that they were trespassing on private land. So my dad drove us back down on the four-wheeler to this trail leading to the house, but on the way there, we're still on my grandfather's property, we passed this maybe 13-year-old kid on an ATV. My dad waved him down and the kid stops. My dad shut off the four-wheeler and informed the kid that he was trespassing on private land. The kid in his snobby little voice said, "But I made these trails, so I should have every right to drive on them." My dad said he still trespassed to make the trails, and just because he made them doesn't give him the right to trespass on our land. The kid replied back with, "Well, I spent all summer on these trails and put a lot of hard work into them, so you should just let me drive on them anyway." My dad told him he needed to leave right then or he was going to call the police. The kid let out a long, annoyed sigh and said, "Whatever," and took off back towards his house. Later that day, my dad went down the trail to where my grandfather's property ended and blocked it off with a rope and a very obvious no trespassing sign. We thought that was the end of it, but even later that day, we got a knock on our door. It was the kid and his dad. MD is my dad, ED is Entitled Dad. Entitled Dad: "My son here says you were trespassing on our land and kicked him off his trail." My dad: "Actually, your son was trespassing on our land and was very rude when I asked him to leave." "But my son made that trail. He has just as much right to be on them as you do." "Actually, no, he doesn't. He trespassed to make that trail, and he has absolutely no rights to be on it. But he spent all summer making them and worked really hard. Just let him go on the trails, or I'll call the police." "Go ahead and call the police. It'll save me a phone call I have to make." Then this entitled dad literally pulls out his cell phone and dials 911 to report people trespassing on his son's trail right in front of us. My dad, being the non-confrontational guy he is, waits for the police to show up, which takes like 30 minutes because of how far out we are. The moment the police officer steps out of his car, this entitled dad starts yelling at them about how we trespassed on their trail and we should be arrested right then and there. Another officer steps out of the car and walks over to us and asks what happened. We calmly explain to him the situation, and he goes back to talk with the other officer who's still dealing with screaming entitled dad. After the officers calmed entitled dad down, they told him they need to leave and not come back or he would be arrested on trespassing charges. The dad is screaming at us and cussing us out the whole time him and his son are walking back to their truck. The dad gets in and starts the truck and peels out of the driveway. My dad thanks the officers, they leave, and we go inside. We never had any more major problems like that with the entitled dad and his son, except for them repeatedly ripping down the rope with the no trespassing sign on it. I almost hoped that the dad and kid would trespass again so they'd get arrested, but we never saw them on the land again. Right, like metaphorically peeing on a tree makes it yours, regardless of the person who legally owns it? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.